Hey, what's going on, YouTube? So today I want to do my college football week 12 predictions. So actually not a bad week in week 11 for me, just because my upsets of the week were actually picked right. So I had Oregon over Stanford, which happened, and then Wazoo over UCLA, which actually happened also. So that brings me to a total record, or if I didn't say already, I went 15-5, which brings me to a total record of 166 and 64. So there will be 3 games that I'm doing individual previews of this week. It will be Baylor and Oklahoma State, and then Ohio State, Michigan State, and TCU, Oklahoma. So go ahead and just go through the rest of my predictions. So first game is Toledo and Bowling Green. Now I think this could be a really entertaining non-Power 5 game. Two teams that are 8-2, or I believe they're both 8-2, and Bowling Green's playing well right now. Toledo was able to ink out a win last week, and I think it could be, like I said, a really good game. I think Matt Johnson's going to have a big game. Bowling Green is going to win. But, if you're looking for a good non-Power 5 game to watch, that's one of them. Another one of them will be Memphis and Temple, which is my next one. And two teams that have had a rough past 2 weeks. So Temple just got thrashed by USF 44-23. And then, Memphis just got beat by Houston in a comeback win 35-34. That probably had to sting. But I think the Memphis is going to win this game. I think they're just overall the better team, and I think both teams can put up a good fight, but I think Memphis will maybe get anywhere from a 3 to 7 point win in the end. So move on to Michigan and Penn State. So I think this could, again, another incredibly entertaining game. Michigan, I don't know, they've been playing teams really close the last couple weeks, and this is my upset of the week. I think this is going to finally come back and bite them in the ass. I do think that they're focusing a little bit ahead on the Ohio State game, and I think this could be a kind of a trap game of sorts. Penn State's been an up-and-down team this year, but overall they've been pretty solid. They did get beat pretty bad by Ohio State. They've also been beat by Temple, and I can't remember who their third loss is. Oh, Northwestern. But, they're a good team, and, the game is at Beaver Stadium, so I think they have the home field advantage behind them, and I think it'll be enough for them to win. So move on to North Carolina and Virginia Tech. Now, if there's any game that I think North Carolina would lose for the rest of the season, it would be this one. They do have to play NC State, which could be a tough one for them, but I think it's going to be the toughest game for the rest of the season. Virginia Tech's been a team that has had North Carolina's number for a while now, and Virginia Tech not having a spectacular season. They are 5-5 and battling for bowl eligibility, but and North Carolina's just been beating teams sideways the last couple weeks. But I do think that North Carolina is going to come out on top in this one. So move on to Wake Forest and Clemson. So Clemson kind of coasted to a win last week. Wake Forest lost by 21 to Notre Dame. I do think that Clemson's going to just blow them out. I think that Clemson's going to put the foot back on the gas pedal and get back to their not just winning ways, but blowing out teams' ways. So move on to LSU and Ole Miss, and again, two teams that have not had very much fun in the last 2 weeks. Ole Miss, they did beat Auburn 2 weeks ago, but they did lose to Arkansas. They beat Auburn 3 weeks ago and then lost to Arkansas 2 weeks ago. Yeah, that's right. And then, obviously, LSU lost to Arkansas and Alabama. So I think this is going to be obviously both teams are going to be fighting. Both teams are fighting for they both have bowl eligibility, but both teams are basically fighting just for respect at this point. Both of them are really out of the battle for the SEC West now, and I do think Ole Miss is going to win. I think that LSU has been kind of figured out, and I think they will win a few more games this year, but they were just overrated. There was no way around that. I even thought they were a pretty good team too, but so move on to Northwestern and Wisconsin. So two teams in the upper tier of the Big Ten, I'd say right below the Michigans the Michigan schools, and then Ohio State. Game that could be very entertaining, probably will be low scoring if I had to say, but I think Wisconsin's going to win. Since the Iowa loss, they have been very good. Northwestern's been good as well, but I think Wisconsin's been a little bit better, and I think they will be better in this game. So move on to Arizona and Arizona State, and a game that's incredibly tough to predict because both teams have been as even as it gets this year. Arizona coming off a big win against Utah. This is a huge rivalry game, battle in the desert. So I think that I really think that Arizona State's going to win this game. It's just weird methodology in my head that says Arizona's played really well the last 2 weeks. They're just due for a bad game. And, Arizona State's been an up-and-down team as well this year. I believe they're both 5-5 right now. But, I don't know, teams that are battling not just for bowl eligibility, but just a little bit of respect for two really disappointing teams in the Pac-12 this year, honestly. So move on to UCLA and Utah. Again, two teams coming off losses. Utah coming off a double overtime loss to Arizona, and then UCLA coming off the loss to Washington State. And I think UCLA is going to get back on track here. I think they're going to hand Utah their second straight loss. Like I said, UCLA have been an incredibly inconsistent team this year, but they have found ways to win big games this year as well. So I think that they'll, I don't know how alive they still are in the Pac-12 South race. I think they are still alive if they win out. But, it starts with winning this game, and I think they will. So move on to USC and Oregon, and two teams that are really hot right now. Two teams that started off the season incredibly poorly, but also two teams that I believe have won, I want to say 4 straight each. So I do think USC is going to win this game. This is going to be a really fun game to watch. I think a really offensively heavy game. Just enormous loads of talent on both sides of the ball, or on both teams offensively. And, like I said, it should be a fun game to watch, and I think USC will win. But move on to Navy and Tulsa. So I think this game could be a little bit of a trap game for Navy. Now, Tulsa does have a very good offense. They can put up points, and if Navy doesn't, normally it's not Navy that has problem preparing for the other team. It's the other team preparing for Navy. But I think this is a game where Navy might be looking ahead to Houston and could overlook Tulsa a little bit. But I do still think the Navy will win and head into the Houston game with 1 loss. So move on to Georgia Southern and Georgia. So battle of 2 7-win teams. Georgia getting a little bit back on track now with the win against Auburn last week. Wasn't pretty, but nonetheless it was a win. And I think they're going to beat Georgia Southern. Now, Georgia Southern is a good team, and if Georgia does not prepare for the option, then Georgia Southern will probably win the game. But I think it'll be close. I think it'll be a little bit more offensively heavy and fun to watch than most of Georgia's games this year. Very run-heavy game, that's for sure, though. So move on to Mississippi State and Arkansas, and two teams that looked like they were, one team that looked like it was playing pretty well and then just got thrashed last week, and another team that's pretty hot right now. But this game's tough to figure out because Mississippi State has been a team that can beat a team like Arkansas this year, but Arkansas is so hot, but also Arkansas is a very up and down team. But I think Arkansas is going to win this game, stay consistent, get to 7 wins, and set themselves up for a pretty good bowl game. So move on to Tennessee and Mizzou, and two teams that are fighting for bowl eligibility. Well, not bowl eligibility because Tennessee's not bowl eligible, but fighting for a good spot in the SEC to reach a respectable bowl game. And I think Tennessee is going to win this game. Mizzou has been a thorn in Tennessee's side the last 2 years. They just have not been able to beat Mizzou. Obviously, Mizzou back-to-back SEC's champions, but I think Tennessee will win this game. They've been very good. They've won, I think it's 3 in a row. Didn't beat North Texas probably as bad as they should last week. And then before that, didn't really do so hot in South Carolina. But nonetheless, they're finding a way to win, which is big because that's something that just not have been able to do over the last decade. And I think they're going to find another way to win here. So move on to Notre Dame and Boston College. Boston College team that's just had an unfortunate year, played a lot of close games. They are a respectable team. They only have 3 wins right now. I think they're going to lose this one to Notre Dame. I honestly think the game's going to be really close. It's a rivalry game, and Notre Dame has a tendency to play teams close like Boston College this year. Even against a very bad Wake Forest team last week, 21's not by any stretch of the mind close, but I definitely think that Notre Dame should have been worse. So move on to Cal and Stanford. So another rivalry game, one that should be pretty entertaining, and see if Stanford can actually lock up the Pac-12 North. Oregon and Washington State are still both alive in the Pac-12 North battle, and if it's a very losable game for Stanford. It's a rivalry game. Cal is a decent team, coming off a huge win against Oregon State by 30 points, and I do think Stanford's going to win. But again, another game that could be pretty entertaining this weekend. So move on to Texas A&M and Vanderbilt. Texas A&M just not been very good the last couple weeks. Lost, I think, 3 of their last 4 games, and I think it's time for Kyle Allen to go back in as a starter. But I do think that they're going to win this game. Could be a defensive struggle just because Vandy does have a decent defense and tends to play a lot of low-scoring games this year. But yeah, I think A&M's going to win. So like I said, do have 3 other games to predict: Baylor, Oklahoma State, Ohio State, Michigan State, and then TCU and OU. And I will put the links to those in the description below when I upload them. And yeah, see how I do this week. Again, another pretty entertaining slate of games. Got 3 big top 25 games this week, and then a handful of other entertaining games as well. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So yeah.